For the longest time, I thought it was completely normal for someone like me, someone from my culture, to grow up without any real friends. I thought it was just a part of the experience, something everyone had to go through. I didn't know any different until I became an adult, and it hit me like a ton of bricks just how much my childhood had been shaped by the toxic beliefs of my narcissistic parents. You see, I was raised under the constant and suffocating pressure of expectations. My parents drilled into me that I wasn't allowed to have friends, not because they thought I should focus on school or anything reasonable like that, but because in their eyes, my sole purpose in life was to prepare for college. I had to spend every waking second of my life working towards that goal. The idea of friendships, fun, or any kind of social connection was irrelevant, even dangerous. They would tell me things like, you don't need friends. They're just distractions, and no one likes you, so you shouldn't waste your time with them. To them, I was nothing more than a tool to achieve their dream of seeing me at a prestigious school, not as an individual with needs or desires. They instilled this suffocating belief in me that I didn't deserve friendships or any form of connection. I wasn't allowed to have any desires of my own beyond serving their needs. It wasn't just that I didn't have friends, it was that I was actively taught to believe I couldn't have them, that I shouldn't want them. This toxic mindset permeated every aspect of my life. Over the years, I developed severe social anxiety. I couldn't speak to people without feeling like I was going to collapse under the weight of my own insecurities. I couldn't even imagine being in a relationship. The thought of someone getting close to me, seeing the mess inside my head, terrified me. I was conditioned to believe I wasn't worthy of anyone's love or attention. And the consequences? I've barely been able to work for the past 20 years. The idea of even walking into a job interview feels impossible. It's not just nerves, it's crippling fear. My social anxiety overwhelms me every time. Even if I somehow manage to get through the interview, I can't shake the feeling that I'm about to fail, that I don't belong. It's a constant, paralyzing battle just to show up, let alone perform. I often wonder how different my life could have been if I hadn't been raised under the shadow of their cruelty and manipulation. If I had been taught that I was worthy of love, of connection, of being myself, maybe things would have turned out differently. But instead, I'm here, stuck in a cycle of loneliness and self-doubt that I feel like I can never break free from. Thanks a lot, narcissistic parents. You've shaped a life for me that I'm still trying to unlearn. Update. I never imagined I'd be posting again, but here I am. I honestly didn't think anyone would care about my story, but the outpouring of support and understanding from all of you has been incredible. It's given me the strength to keep pushing forward, even when things seem unbearable. So, I wanted to share a bit of an update. I've been doing a lot of thinking and reflecting since my last post. For so long, I thought I was just destined to live in isolation. But as I've read your comments and shared my story with close friends, some who have been incredibly patient and understanding, I've started to realize that there is a way out of this, even if it feels like an uphill battle. I've been trying to take small steps to break free from the mindset my parents instilled in me. It's been slow. For example, I forced myself to go to a social gathering recently. I didn't want to. I was terrified, but I made myself go and I stayed for an hour. It wasn't a huge victory, but it felt like one. I didn't feel completely comfortable, but I did feel like maybe I wasn't as broken as I thought. I had moments where I almost felt like I belonged, and that was a new experience for me. The social anxiety didn't disappear, but for the first time, I felt like I could coexist with it instead of letting it control me. I've also started seeing a therapist. It's been hard for me to open up, especially about my parents. I mean, even now, it feels like I'm betraying them just by acknowledging their impact on my life. But my therapist has been really helpful in teaching me that I don't need to carry their weight anymore. I've started to see the patterns they created, how they shaped my every fear and insecurity, and now I'm learning to challenge them little by little. The work environment is still tough for me. I haven't managed to get through a job interview yet, but I'm trying not to let that completely define me. I've been focusing on building my resume, taking on small freelance projects, and trying to find alternative ways to earn income while I work through my anxiety. I'm trying to give myself credit for these small victories, even if they don't look like much on paper. I'm not going to pretend that everything is fine or that I have it all figured out. The truth is, I still feel like I'm swimming in a sea of self doubt most days. But thanks to the encouragement and the realization that I'm not alone in this, I'm slowly starting to take ownership of my life again. It's a long road ahead, but I can't help but feel like this is a step toward healing. So thank you all for your kind words, advice, and support. It truly means the world to me. I'll continue to update when I can, and hopefully, I'll have more positive things to share in the future. Keep pushing forward, everyone. We all deserve better than what we were told to accept. Final update. I've thought long and hard about this post and whether or not to write a final update. But after everything I've gone through, I feel like it's time to share where I'm at. So here it is, my final update on this journey. It's been a long road, one filled with painful realizations, hard lessons, and moments of unexpected growth. Looking back, it's surreal to think about how far I've come from that place of isolation and self-doubt. I didn't think I would get here, but somehow I've managed to find a way out of the darkness my narcissistic parents had cast around me. I'm no longer letting their voices dictate my worth. The turning point came when I finally started to accept that I deserve happiness, friendships, love, and a future outside of their control. Therapy has been a huge part of this. I've spent months unpacking the emotional weight they loaded onto me. And while I'm not fixed or healed, who really ever is, I feel like I've finally reclaimed a part of myself I thought was lost forever. The social anxiety, it's still there, but it's no longer the all-encompassing force it used to be. I found that it's more manageable when I allow myself to be vulnerable. I've made a few new friends slowly, and while I don't have a huge circle, I've started to build genuine connections with people who care about me, not because of what I can do for them, but just because I exist. That alone feels like a miracle. The idea of being in a relationship, which used to feel impossible, doesn't seem so out of reach anymore either. I'm still taking it slow, but I've started opening myself up to the possibility of love, even if it's scary. Work has been a much slower process. I haven't nailed down the career I once dreamed of, but I found my footing in a part-time job that gives me some stability. I'm taking small steps toward building my professional life, even if it's not what I envisioned when I was younger. And while I still battle with imposter syndrome and the echoes of my parents' criticisms, I've learned to push through. I've learned that healing is messy and non-linear. Some days are better than others, but I'm no longer letting my past define my future. There are moments when the old fears creep back in, when I doubt myself and feel like I'm not good enough, but now I know how to challenge those thoughts. I've learned that I don't have to carry their hurt anymore, and that's something no one can take from me. So while I'm still a work in progress, I'm proud of how far I've come. To everyone who read my story, offered advice, or simply sent me words of encouragement, I want you to know how much it has meant to me. You helped me believe in myself when I couldn't. You gave me hope when I thought it was gone. This isn't the end of my story, but it's the end of this chapter. I'm moving forward, and I'm no longer bound by the expectations and limitations that were placed on me. I'm living for me now, and that's the most freeing thing I've ever done. Thank you for being part of this journey. I hope this update shows that even after the darkest moments, there's always a chance for change, growth, and a better future.